There is one thing you do every single day that feels completely normal to you, clean even, but it would make a Japanese woman quietly step back. The strange part is that most Western women have no idea they are doing anything unusual. In fact, the more hygienic you consider yourself, the more likely you are guilty of at least 3 of these 5 habits right now. In this video, you will discover 5 everyday hygiene habits that Japanese women consider genuinely unsanitary. And according to modern science, they are right. Stay with me because number 3 is the one that will be hardest to accept. And number 5 will completely change the way you think about what clean actually means. Before we get into all 5, there is something worth understanding about why Japan thinks about hygiene differently from almost every other culture on Earth. It is not perfectionism. It is not cultural sensitivity. Japan has one of the lowest rates of hospital-acquired infection in the developed world, one of the lowest rates of antibiotic resistance, consistently ranked among the top 5 countries globally for public health outcomes by the World Health Organization. And researchers who have studied this consistently arrive at the same answer. It is not the healthcare system alone. It is the daily habits, small, consistent, repeated, that prevent contamination before it ever has a chance to become illness. Japan does not treat hygiene as cleaning up after the fact. It treats it as prevention, built into the texture of an ordinary day. 5 habits the West has never questioned. 5 habits Japan never adopted. Let us go through every single one. Habit 1. And this is the one that happens the moment you walk through your front door. You keep your outdoor shoes on inside your home. Right now, in most Western homes, the shoes that walked across a gas station floor, a public restroom, a supermarket aisle where thousands of people have walked before you, a hospital corridor, a parking lot where cars have been leaking oil and fluid for years. Those same shoes are walking across the floors where your children play, where bare feet move to the kitchen at midnight, where you sit to stretch, fold laundry, or open a package from the floor. Every step is a transfer. A study from the University of Houston found that the average shoe sole carries 421,000 bacteria per square centimeter. The specific organisms identified included E. coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, and Serratia ficaria, bacteria associated with urinary tract infections, wound infections, and respiratory illness. Between 90 and 99% of those bacteria transferred directly to clean indoor flooring on first contact. Not some of it, essentially all of it. Japan has a word for the entryway where shoes come off before entering the home. Genkan, a small physical boundary, sometimes just a single step, that separates the outside world from the inside one. Not a preference, not a suggestion, a line. In Japanese culture, this line has been observed for centuries, not because Japan discovered germ theory early, but because someone noticed long before any laboratory confirmed it that homes where shoes came off at the door stayed cleaner with less effort, and that the people inside them stayed healthier with less explanation. You do not need to renovate your entryway. A shoe rack beside the door, a clear, consistent habit of removing shoes before stepping into the living space. The outside world stops at the threshold. Everything inside stays the way you left it. The West built welcome mats and asked the outside world to wipe its feet. Japan built a boundary and asked the outside world to stay outside. The difference in what reaches your floors and reaches the hands and mouths of everyone who lives there is not small. Habit 2. This one happens in your bathroom, specifically at your toilet, every single day, multiple times a day, in almost every Western home. When you flush, you walk to the sink, wash your hands, and consider the task complete. But here is what most people do not realize is happening in that room every single time a toilet is flushed without the lid down. A toilet flush produces what microbiologists call an aerosol plume, a fine mist of water particles and microscopic biological matter that travels upward from the bowl at the moment of flushing, reaching heights of up to 1.5 meters and remaining suspended in the air of the bathroom for several minutes before settling on every surface within range: the counter, the hand towel, the bar of soap, and most significantly, the toothbrush. A study published in the journal Physics of Fluids in 2022, using high-resolution laser imaging to make the aerosol plume visible for the first time, found that particles reached the top of the toilet tank within 8 seconds of flushing and spread across the surrounding area within 60 seconds. Your toothbrush sitting in a holder on the counter beside the toilet is not protected by distance. It is within range. Every single day. Japan has one simple response to this that most of the West has never adopted. The toilet lid is closed before flushing. Always, not sometimes, every time. Research published in the American Journal of Infection Control found that closing the lid before flushing reduced surface bacterial contamination in the surrounding area by over 50%. The second response. In Japan, toothbrushes are stored in cabinets behind a closed door, not on open counters within range of the plume. 2 actions, each takes under 3 seconds. Each significantly reduces what lands on the object you put in your mouth twice a day. Tonight, close the lid before you flush. Move your toothbrush into a cabinet, or at minimum, into a covered holder. That is the entire change. And it is the kind of change that, once you understand what was happening before it, you will never stop making. Habit 3. This is the one I told you about at the beginning. The hardest to accept, because it involves something most Western women consider one of their cleanest daily habits. You wash your hands. You consider them clean. You touch your face, your food, your skincare products, your children with hands you believe are sanitary. But here is what most people in the West have never been told about how they actually wash their hands. The average hand washing duration in the West is approximately 6 seconds. 6 seconds. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends a minimum of 20 seconds of active scrubbing with soap to effectively remove the bacteria and viruses most commonly responsible for illness transmission. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Health found that only 5% of people who washed their hands after using the bathroom did so for long enough and thoroughly enough to actually remove potential pathogens. 5%, which means 95% of people who believe they have clean hands after washing have not achieved what they believe they have achieved. Japan's approach to hand washing is the protocol taught in Japanese schools since the 1980s as part of the national health curriculum. 6 specific steps, each one targeting a surface of the hand that is statistically most likely to be missed in a brief rinse. Step 1. Palm to palm in circular motion. Step 2. Back of each hand scrubbed with the opposite palm. Step 3. Fingers interlaced scrubbing between each one. Step 4. Backs of fingers against the opposite palm. Step 5. Each thumb rotated in the opposite hand. Step 6. Fingertips rotated against the opposite palm, specifically targeting the nail beds. The entire sequence takes 20 to 30 seconds. It is taught to Japanese children the way the alphabet is taught to Western children, early, consistently, until it is simply how washing works. Tonight, count. Just once count the seconds the next time you wash your hands, and notice what the number actually is. Whatever the answer is, it is the answer. And now you know. Habit 4. This one is in your kitchen, and it is the habit that most Western women consider a sign of thoroughness and care, of taking food preparation seriously. You wash raw chicken before you cook it. You do this because it feels hygienic, because removing visible residue from raw poultry before it goes into the pan feels like a sensible precaution, a responsible step that a careful cook takes. Japan does not do this, and the reason is precisely the opposite of what Western intuition suggests. When you wash raw chicken under a running tap, the water that touches the raw surface of the chicken is immediately contaminated with whatever is on that surface. Most significantly, Campylobacter and Salmonella, the 2 bacterial species most commonly associated with poultry-related food poisoning. That contaminated water does not stay on the chicken, it splashes. Research from Drexel University found that washing chicken under a running tap produces a spray radius of up to 80 centimeters. covering counters, cutting boards, nearby utensils, the sink basin, and sometimes clothing and hands with contaminated water droplets, invisible to the eye. The heat of cooking destroys every pathogen on the surface of the chicken. The washing does not. The washing spreads those bacteria across every surface in the splash radius before the cooking has a chance to kill anything. Japan cooks poultry directly without washing it because the contamination risk of washing significantly exceeds any possible benefit. The cooking does what the washing was never able to do, and the washing does something the cooking cannot undo. The next time you cook chicken, do not wash it. Pat it dry with a paper towel if needed. Dispose of the paper towel immediately. Wash your hands thoroughly using the 6-step protocol and cook it to the correct internal temperature. The heat does everything. The tap does nothing except spread what was already there. And now, habit 5. The one I promised would change how you think about what clean actually means. This one is not in your kitchen or your bathroom. It is in your hand right now, or within arm's reach of wherever you are sitting. Your phone. You touch your phone an average of 2,617 times per day, according to research from Discount, a mobile research firm that tracked users across 3 months. You touch it before you wash your hands, after you use the bathroom, while you cook, while you eat, while you apply your skincare. You place it on restaurant tables, on public bathroom counters, on gym equipment, on the floor beside your yoga mat. And then you pick it up and hold it against your face. A study from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine found that 1 in 6 mobile phones carries fecal bacteria on its surface. A separate study from the University of Arizona found that mobile phones carry 10 times more bacteria per square centimetre than a toilet seat. 10 times more than your toilet seat. Held against the side of your face during every phone call. Placed beside your pillow at night, picked up first thing in the morning before your hands have been washed, touched constantly throughout a day in which you are also touching your face, your food, and everything and everyone around you. In Japan, there is a general cultural awareness of contaminated surfaces, of what has been touched and what has not been cleaned, that produces a consciousness about object contact that most Western people simply do not carry. Hands are washed before meals, after any public contact, and consistently throughout the day. Phones are cleaned regularly, and the habit of holding a phone directly against the face during calls is far less common, with speaker function and earphones used as the default. You cannot sterilize your phone with every use, but you can clean it properly once a day with an appropriate screen-safe antibacterial wipe, and you can stop holding it directly against your face during calls. Speaker function or earphones eliminate the most direct route from the most contaminated object you own to the skin of your face and the mucous membranes beside it. 5 habits, all of them normal, all of them standard, all of them so embedded in Western daily life that questioning them sounds unnecessary until you understand what they are actually doing. Shoes carrying 421,000 bacteria per square centimetre across every surface your family touches. A toilet flush sending a plume of particles across your toothbrush in under 60 seconds. 6 seconds of hand washing that removes almost nothing. Chicken washing that sprays Campylobacter across an 80-centimetre radius. And a phone pressed against your face that carries 10 times the bacteria of your toilet seat. Japan did not find these habits unsanitary because it is more culturally sensitive than other countries. It found them unsanitary because it looked carefully at what they were actually doing and chose differently. 1 habit at a time, quietly, without making a production of it. The good news is that all 5 have a better alternative, and none of them require a renovation, a product, a program, or anything you do not already have. They require a decision made once and repeated daily. Tonight, 1 question to take with you. Of these 5 habits, which one genuinely surprised you? Not the one you already knew about, the one that landed differently than you expected. Leave it in the comments, because the habit you name is the one you are most likely to actually change. And if this shifted something in the way you think about your own daily routine, share it with 1 woman in your life who considers herself clean, but might be doing at least 3 of these. She will not thank you immediately, but she will eventually. Take care of yourselves. We will see you in the next one.